Hello, my name is Laurie, Haines, Reese, and today we are going to go over page 20 of book 1 of the String Builder. So I'll leave a link to it below. And this is number 89, 90, 91, and 92. I'll play them and then I'll do a short explanation of each one. So number 89. 1, 2, ready, begin. Same thing on the A string. 1, 2, 3, 4. So in that one, it's a study on when to use the third finger and when do you use the second finger. This seems to be a stumbling block for a lot of young musicians, whether you're young in age or just experience. So the rule is F sharp is the third finger, and when they put the symbol of the sharp in the measure, it lasts through the whole measure until the bar line, and then it cancels out, so it goes back to whatever they used in the key signature. We'll talk more about key signatures down the road, so just hang in there. When it's F natural, in other words, if there's no sharp, you use the second finger. Again, the natural lasts, if there's a sharp in the key signature, the natural will last till the end of the measure. So between the two bar lines, every F that's in there in whatever octave is going to be an F natural. Here's number 90, Nelly Bly. Again, look through the piece first to make sure you know when you're going to use your second finger, when you're going to use your third finger. This piece in the key signature, there's no sharps and no flats. A lot of times when students look at a piece and they're used to using the third finger, the second finger's kind of new, we haven't really done much of that. They'll look at the piece and they'll assume that they're supposed to use their third finger, or their third finger just wants to go down, so you have to train your hand to be able to use that second finger when you want to. Alright, Nelly Bly. This is number 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. Couple things in there. They have slurs and they have not slurs. So when you do the slur, you have to prepare the bow. So you're going to move it a little slower, maybe move towards the bridge a little bit. That will slow your bow down automatically. So that's measure 3 that I'm talking about. And when you are going to play that open string after the fourth finger, leave your fourth finger down. I know we've talked about the tunnels before, but you want to have space underneath that finger so that you can play both strings at once if you would like to. I know a lot of us struggle with only playing one string at a time, but there are times when you do play two strings and it'll sound better if you sort of blend them together with the bow. So you're playing on an up bow, that's this direction, Again, down bow, up bow. At the frog to the tip, down bow, tip to the frog, up bow. Makes more sense on a violin E string if you think down bow, up bow. Of course, if you're on the G string on a violin, it's kind of backwards also, but we just go straight across, right? So how do you know if it's down bow or up bow, and is it important? Yes, it's important. So learn which one is down and which one is up. It becomes more apparent later on in your studies. There's reasons to use down bows, reasons to use up bows, and you want to have that control. Alright, so again, measure 3. Notice I leave the 4th finger down until my bow is on the A string. Of course, the next note is open D, so I must lift the 4th finger, but don't lift it until the bow has made it all the way to the A string, and don't let your bow go ahead. Sometimes that happens. Then you get either both sounds or your fingers laying on it, and you get a kind of a squeak. So that's one of the things to work on in that piece. In line 2, the very first measure of the second line, we have E on the D string, we have 2 on the A string. Try to prepare ahead, so you want to put your 2nd finger down when the bow is almost ready to get to that note, but you want to have the left hand must go first, so you want to have your 2nd finger down already. And that's about it. One thing I did in measures 1, 2, 3, the 4th measure, and again the 4th measure of the second line, they have a dotted half note, so that's 3 counts on a down bow. Then they have that breath sign, and they have 1 count on an up bow. So you could go, you have choices. You could go and you just use a faster bow, a lighter bow. So a slow bow that's closer to the bridge on the long note. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or you can lift the bow and use just the amount of bow that you would like for that up bow. So normally if I'm using 1 little up bow, I would start maybe a little below the middle of my bow and go up from there. So you're going to use the whole bow for that dotted half note, lift, and come back to where you want to place that quarter note. So 1, 2, 3. So you can do it either way. You can hold it out and use the whole bow lighter on the up bow, or my preferred way, lift the bow, let some space in there. They have a breath mark there anyway, right? 2, 3, 4. Alright, so there's some things to work on with Nelly Bly. Number 91. Alright, Cradle Song. Right, that one's pretty much self-explanatory. You could work on whole bow on the half notes, and then upper half for the quarter notes, and then whole bow for the dotted half note. Same thing. So you could measure your bow out. You could plan how much bow per type of note. So for example, I'll play it again. This is the whole bow. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole bow, stay in the upper half, whole bow. Lower half, whole bow. Now come back. Maybe piano here. So work on that kind of thing. Alright, number 92, the half step march. This is to get your fingers working between the 2 and the 3. We usually talk in terms of patterns when we play the cello. So you have a 1, 2, 4 pattern, or you have a 1, 3, 4 pattern. In this case, you're kind of mixing your hand up between them all. So this is kind of harder to get your fingers to do, but it's definitely worth, again, training your fingers. You want to have that control over your fingers. This is a good exercise for that. Number 92, the half step march. Also notice that they have the line underneath the 1. The line means to keep your finger down the whole time. You also leave your second finger down. Once the finger goes down, it stays down as long as it can till you want to lift it for the next notes. 1, 2, 3, 4.